coffee and Kabbalah, or Kabbalah and coffee, and uh, Kabbalah sucks. Everything sucks. Are you surprised you've been doing this? 28 days. It's whatever. All right. I have a quick story. So I was just, pimping, and somebody came into the Discord yesterday, and they're like, normally people come in the Discord, I just want to fucking fight them. Just like, what the fuck is your problem? I'm like a fucking troll under a fucking bridge. Like, how dare you step into my fucking zone? It's like, dog, you're marketing this thing everywhere on the fucking internet. It's like, still, how dare you? I'm doing shit. And I'm like, how can I help you? And he's like, oh, look at this shit not working. Look at love when that shit doesn't work. Anyway, and the guy's like, how'd you find out about me? And he's like, actually, I was just on YouTube, and I saw it said, talk to a rabbi. I'm like, oh yeah, right here, baby. And I'm like, all right, go ahead. What you got? He's like, well, I really wanted to talk about like mysticism and stuff. And I'm like, oh, baby, that's what we do. Really? Yeah, I'm no way an expert, but bring it. And he's like, well, he had excellent questions, and he was very knowledgeable. Man, this motherfucker should have started his own fucking Kabbalah class, because he was quite. So he's like, well, what kind of Kabbalah do you practice? Well, it's actually known as Pimp Kabbalah, but it's the Pimp Kabbalah Chronicles, but it's whatever you want it to be. I didn't have the heart to tell him that, so I was like, oh, Cordovero and what is this bullshit? And Lurianic. I was like, damn, I fucking remembered that. And he's like, and then I go into Tanya, a little bit about Chabad, and he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, but it's kind of grounded on Moshe De Leon. He's like, oh, I'm well versed on Moshe De Leon. I'm like, oh shit, not too much. And then he talked about Simone Bar Yochai, and he asks me about the world to come, which is an excellent question. It's a question I think we all have, and frankly, nobody fucking knows. And I don't know too many rabbis that will just straight up tell you we don't know. I mean, we should, but we don't know. But we went into the like shul, and 11 months of Kaddish and for the righteous. And I mean, I was giving him everything I had, and he's like, oh, okay, what about the 4 worlds of Chabad? And I'm like, and he knew about, I don't know if he was Jewish, but he knew a lot about Kabbalah. He knew more than 99% of anybody you're going to ever meet on the street about Kabbalah. Fortunately, I just knew slightly a little bit more, perhaps, or at least was able to give that out. And so I was able to answer his questions, and that was really refreshing to me, because it was the first time anybody had ever asked me Kabbalistic questions, and I really felt like I knew what I was talking about, because we do this every fucking day. I mean, we will have done like at least 28 hours on this bullshit. If you don't count the first like few ones that we did that were taking like 8 hours to fucking upload. So before he left, I was like, I told him like my story about why I stream and how much I stream and everything, and he's like, oh, there's another guy who does this. Whenever I hear it, I'm like, fuck. All right, who? And he's like, oh, YouTube or whatever. And I do, and whenever this happens, my heart is just like, because I want to be the best. I am the best. I don't know anybody who's been doing this longer in the same way that I do it. But I looked up this guy, and he does it in a similar way to the way I do it. He's archiving his footage, which is really important. But then I saw how much he's been doing it. He's doing like a hunger strike too, and as you can tell, ain't no hunger strike going on here. But fortunately, um, and I don't know what his deal is, but he um he's been doing it like 200 and some days, and I've been doing it like 1,500 days. Is that true? Um, and I even think 200 period of time to be doing this. Like I'm still like I don't want anybody. I'm like boxing out. I'm the ultimate boxer out. Boxing out. Anyway, but like I'm boxing motherfuckers out. All right, so let's see here. If I would have started this, I'd started at like 10. I don't know. We'll see. What is this? 10, 16, 2021, something like that. And if we end it today, which I certainly don't want to end it, calculate duration. 1,561 days. That's a long period of time, folks. And this guy's not even at 300 days. But I didn't, I was proud of myself because whenever, I don't know, there's like a, I don't know what, I guess it's humility. But whenever you've been doing, you see somebody doing something and you know it's important to them, and you just so happen to be doing something better than they have been, it's not a good idea to just come in and shit on them. And um, isn't that what you did to that one girl who's been doing her stream for like 7 days or whatever? Or her, yeah. But I mean, I just kind of had to clarify for them. Um, and I had to give them the breakdown on the date, like on the time periods and things like that. But what the fuck is wrong with this shit? Is this still recording? Who knows? Way. Um, would I think I would have gone viral by now? Yeah, I thought I'd go viral in the first 3 months. This seemed like such a cool idea. But you've been doing it more than 1,500 days. That's a long period of time. Yeah. Do you think you'll have to do it 2,000 days before going viral? I think I'm going to go viral this spring. But I always say that. I don't know. So, I checked out this guy. Well, I ended it with this other guy. And I would just say that person was very smart. I meet a lot of smart people on doing this. And it's, if you don't stream your life, this shouldn't be about streaming my life, but it was about Cabal. Okay, so I need to make it short because I could just babble about all day. All right, so then I went and checked out this other guy, and he's been doing his stream for 200 some days. And I didn't go into, I tried chatting with him, but I totally get it. You don't pay attention to chat when you're doing it this long. You're just doing your own thing. And he didn't have like other stuff go to him, which is cool, but I think it's cool to have like, the one music and singing and things like that. That to me makes this. And I know the topics about which I discuss are really, really important. And I am communicating with other people. He did not seem to. Maybe the one guy said that sometimes he saw the other guy talking to some people, but I don't know. I mean, he just seemed. And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. He's on one stream, and while that isn't important, you can't really see the waist up too much. I mean, you can see my legs. That's going to be studied in the future, and you can. I'm on just so many different streams that I feel like that's really important too. And but that does not mean that 200 and whatever days is not. I mean, what we'll call it, whatever, 300 days. That's really an accomplishment. And I try to get a hold of him because I'd love to have him in here. That would be, in some ways, a dream to be able to combine our forces. And he's about world peace, and I think that's amazing too. So I'm gonna try to get a hold of him later today. All right, is that the end of your fucking story? Because um, for now, for now, that. But shout out to the guy who came and studied and discussed Kabbalah. That guy was very knowledgeable. Shout out to the other guy who's doing the thing for world peace. 200 days is a long time. All right. Now what? Oh, and I started listening to Chabad videos when I went to bed, and I actually didn't hate it. I was learning as I was falling asleep. I really liked the one on the Beit HaMikdash. Like that shit's tight as fuck. So, um, all right. So Yiddish words to find. Let's go, folks. Al Machai. That's what you say after we fuck, after we high five. It's something so pleasurable it could revive the dead or add years to one's life. Machai is a Hebrew word that means giver of life. Next, Halavai. Halavai, if only or I wish. Um, and then we watched that one fucking. You know, though, if only or I wish. So, like, do you want the Beta Mikdash to be rebuilt? Yeah, Halavai. There you go. All right, what's the other one? Yiddish cup. That's Jewish head. Yenta means a talkative bitch. Tacheles is our one for today.
What does tachlis mean? Tachlis is a Yiddish word that comes from Hebrew, where it means end, entirety, ultimate, or purpose. King David uses this word in Psalms, where he describes his feelings toward evildoers as tachlis of hatred. Point 1 in this context, it means ultimate. A classic use of this word is the Hebrew adage, the tachlis of knowledge is to know that we cannot know you. Point 2 in this case, the word quite clearly means purpose. An example in Kabbalistic literature is the description of GD's infinite light descending down to no tachlis. Point 3 in this case, it is best interpreted as end. One famous Chassidic use of tachlis is in Tanya, where we read that the tachlis of humankind, and all the worlds, is that GD should have such a dwelling place here below. 4. In common Yiddish parlance, the word tachlis can also refer to real-world action, working to earn a living, practicality, or usefulness. Talking tachlis can be a no-holds-barred conversation about life's major decisions, such as settling down with a profession, a spouse, etc., or identifying purposeful goals in life.
So it's like brass tacks. Let's get down to brass tacks. All right, Tacheles. That's tight. Now what? Well, now we're gonna do more Kabbalah. Actually, no. Before we do that, let's learn about the four worlds. Does anybody know what this is? No. Really? Do they have a thing that reads this? Like, come on, Chabad. I've donated to you. You could use that money to fucking get your shit together. Really? Yeah, Nissan Dovid Dubo. He's like, no, I want everybody to read my bullshit. Dog, come on.
The four worlds. We shall now examine in detail the different stages of the chain order of creation. Once Simson had created the vacuum, when creation could come about. In order to describe these stages and draw their comprehension or understanding, we shall use an analogy from a builder. Imagine a couple has an idea that they want to build the ideal house for themselves and their family. The idea struck them totally out of the blue, picturing their mind of a state of art palatial home with gardens and a pool. Relishing such an idea, the couple then sat down and worked out the entire structure in their mind by visualizing each bedroom, dining room, kitchen, garage, etc. In the mind, initial idea has been developed in breadth and depth. After such a beautiful dream, they can easily delete the entire image from their mind. However, to carry the idea further, they have to get emotionally excited about the idea, call an architect and a builder, and start putting the initial idea on paper. Once the plans have been drawn up, our couple then has to go into the practicalities of buying a plot of land, applying for building permission, financing the project, and the actual building of the house. Only after months of work will the house be finished, and our couple may then enter the fulfillment of their dream. We can delineate 4 stages in this process. 1. The initial flash of inspiration, concept. 2. The broadening of the concept, developing the concept in detail. 3. Emotional involvement in the drawing of actual plans. 4. Practicalities, building. Kabbalah explains that these 4 stages were also used in the creation of the world. The first stage was the overall concept. The first level of conceptualization is the initial stage in which the separate become manifest. This level is called the world of Absolute. The word Absolute comes from the Hebrew word Eitzel, which means next to, or emanated from. This world is the next stage after the symptom of the Orion Sof. Once the possibility for finite creation had been made possible through the symptom, it was then possible to delineate different features or attributes of GD. The Torah uses different Hebrew names for GD. They are in fact names that describe the different separate. For example, the name describes G-Linus as manifest in the separate of chest. Elikim describes G-Linus as manifest in the separate of Jegura, and so on. The world of Absolute is still within the realm of the infinite, and each of the separate in the world of Absolute is infinite. The novelty of the world of Absolute is the delineation between the attributes. Each one becomes identifiable in its own right. Previously, although the possibility for their creation existed, it was totally obscured by the Orion Sof. In the world of Absolute, all that can be felt is the divine. There is yet no independent existence. Each of the 4 stages of creation corresponds to one of the 4 letters in the Tetragrammaton, GD's 4-lettered name of Have. The world of Absolute corresponds to the letter Yud. This letter is shaped in the form of a dot and is the smallest letter from which all other letters are conceived. It is the quintessential point from which all further existence may develop. As explained earlier, the letter Yud also corresponds to the separate of Chashma. Although all 10 separate are present in every world, one separate, or a group of separate, is predominant at each stage. The dominant separate in the world of Absolute is Chashma. The world of Absolute is the revealed potential of further creation. In the next stage, the initial concept is worked out, and plans for the creation are further developed. Within the mind, the building has taken on some form of independent existence. Something has been created, albeit only in theory. This world is called the world of Bariah, creation. The word creation always implies creating something, yesh, from nothing Mayan. In Bariah, the initial concept of Absolute has been broadened, both in length and depth. The letter A corresponds to the separate of Bina, which is the predominant separate in Bariah. Bina takes the initial concept of Chachma and develops it in all its detail. The world of Bariah takes the initial manifestation of the separate in Absolute and creates within some form of existence, which starts to take on independence. Although in Absolute there is total nullification vigil, nothing exists independently. What is felt in Bariah is also the divine, however, unlike in Absolute. In Bariah there is something outside of GD that is feeling him, while still being totally nullified. It is for this reason that the world of Bariah is called the world of the divine throne, kissing Hakabit. In essence, a throne is a chair upon which man lowers his posture. So too, the divine throne is the idea of the divine lowering itself to come into contact with the worlds. This lowering of posture takes place in the world of Bariah. It is also in the world of Bariah that we find the creation of souls and highest angels. Angels, Malachim, are not white-winged creatures that fly across the sky. Rather, they may be conceived of as conduits for divine energy flow. They act as agents through whom energies flow to this world. The angels in the world of Bariah are called seraphim, from the Hebrew word serapha, a fire. These angels are so infused with feeling that they burn up. This is not to be taken in a literal sense, but that they are so close to GD that they cannot endure the intensity, and are in a constant state of spiritual ecstasy. The world of Bariah is also the place of the upper Garden of Eden, which is an abode for souls that have merited entering this most sublime realm as a reward for their efforts in this world. The next stage is the world of Yetzirah, formation. It is in this world that finite plans are drawn up for actual creation. The predominant separate in this world are the 6 emotional separate from chest to Chesed. They correspond to the letter Vav and the name Have. Vav numerically equals the number 6. This world is where emotional attachment to the project forms, and it takes on a momentum of its own. The entire project is no longer merely a concept, and concrete steps are being taken to actualize the idea. Here exists the lower Garden of Eden, the abode for souls who merit basking in its divine light. This is the realm of the angels called Shade Hakadosh, literal holy beings. The angels in this world take on names corresponding to the separate. For example, the angel Michael corresponds to the separate of chest, Gabriel to Jebura, and Raphael to Tiferet, etc. When we recite Kedusha in the repetition of the Amidah, we say Kadosh holy 3 times. This is a reference to the angels of Bariah, Yetzirah, and Asaiah, all of whom pay homage to GD in their different ways. Ezekiel's prophecy was experienced when he entered the world of Yetzirah through meditative techniques. Since he wished to communicate this experience to his people, he had to use human language to describe metaphysical phenomena. In the world of Yetzirah, he describes the angels there in the form of creatures. Below him were the Ophanim, the angels of the world of Asaiah. Throne of the world of Bariah was above him. Sitting on the throne was the form of a man describing the Sephirotic array in the world of Absolute. Isaiah's prophecy entered an even deeper state within the world of Bariah, and subsequently, his description is much less detailed. Finally, the 4th world is Asaiah, the world of action, where the creation is actualized. The divine creative flow from the world of Yetzirah flows down through the angels into the creation of the 4 kingdoms, mineral, vegetable, animal, and human. The predominant separate in the world of Asaiah is Melchut. Melchut suggests sovereignty, the idea of a distant king ruling over willing subjects. Asaiah is the world in which the creation takes on a form of total independence, yet the place where the subjects accept GD as king. The world of Asaiah is somewhat contrary. The master creator, who is a supreme artist, has created a most beautiful and diverse creation. It is a creation of GD alone, yet GD is hidden to the degree that his creations are not aware of their creator. Somehow, it is possible in this world to totally deny the presence of GD, as he is completely concealed. It is this total concealment that allows this world to be a right choice, where a person can choose to serve or ignore, as well as the realm of challenge, where the hand of GD is sometimes overt and other times covert. This world is the ultimate purpose of creation, and it is here that GD wishes his creatures to create an abode for him. This is achieved through adherence to Torah and mitzvah. In Torah, GD has communicated the truth of creation, and provided a path through which people can navigate the choppy waters of life. This is accomplished at every stage by attaching themselves to him through mitzvah. In the higher worlds, what is manifest is the divine light. In reality, they are only manifestations of the divine creative ability, mere rays out of the sun. However, it is in this world, where one cannot perceive the light manifest in the higher realms, that one can truly appreciate Asman, essence of GD. In this world, we perceive ourselves as separate and distinct from the flow of G-Linus, and it is this feeling of being apart that permits us to behold the essence of GD to a greater degree. Ironically, there is a vantage point to the observer in this world. In the higher worlds, one is blinded somewhat by rays of the divine light Chiluayim. The higher one goes, either in the lower or higher Garden of Eden, the more sublime the revelation, and the more blinded a person is. Yet, from Earth, we can appreciate the sun in a far greater manner. It is specifically in this realm, where there is a total eclipse of this divine light, that the observer can actually come into contact with Asman himself. Though he stands far beyond comprehension, one can observe creation, and realize that this can only be the work of GD himself. Tetragrammaton, world, Sephira, builder.
Alright, that was tight. No one knows what the fuck that meant. Really? Yeah, no one knows. Really? No one knows. I mean, I kind of get it. It was like a house or some shit.
The four worlds. The Kabbalists discuss four worlds, each containing many worlds within them. They are world meaning description, human parallel, absolute emanation, divine world containing infinite light, mind and heart, rare creation, initial emergence of substance, thought, Yetzirah formation, substance with form, speech, Asaya action, pre-physical and physical world, action sensation. Where are the worlds? You won't come across these four worlds via space travel. Neither can you map them along different points in time. Rather, you'll have to search a different parameter of reality, a third continuum, along which they're distributed. Think of yourself. While you exist within time and space, there's another dimension to you with an entire spectrum of depth that you certainly wouldn't want ignored. That is your psyche and its many strata through which you can travel deeper and deeper. Yet, as deep as you go, you remain just where you are. You'll have to search a different parameter of reality, a third continuum, along which they're distributed. For example, you might say at times that you're holding many thoughts in your mind, yet your brain has not expanded. Or that you are weighed down by many emotions in your heart, yet you are no heavier for all their weight. Or that you're digging deeper into yourself to find where these feelings are coming from. Or reaching further into your thoughts. And yet, all these thoughts and emotions occupy space and coincide in the same moments of time. Apparently, agree that there's more to existence than time and space. Within this third continuum, the universe also has a kind of psyche of its own. That makes sense. If we tiny instances of the universe include a third non-spatial, non-temporal continuum, shouldn't the universe itself include an inconceivably greater one? It does. Within any moment of time, in any particular place, endless strata of worlds share the same reality. And they fall into these four general categories. Many worlds for many perceptions. What is a world, after all? Biologists speak of the idea of the unworld, that each creature has its own particular world according to the means by which it perceives its surroundings. If you have a pet dog, you may have realized that it does not live in the same world as you. When your dog growls in its sleep, it's probably dreaming about odors. That's principally how a dog knows its world. It identifies people, animals, and objects with its perpetually sniffing nose. For you, a walk in the park is an opportunity to see pleasant sights and get fresh air. For a dog, more than anything else, it's an opportunity to explore new smells. If you have a pet dog, you may have realized that it does not live in the same world as you. You live in a world constructed principally of the things you see and hear. It's also a world where each thing has a name and a function, because so much of your life is shaped by language. Indeed, once you learn to think with words, the world of pure sensation was almost entirely lost to you. When you dream about sights, sounds, and spoken words. If you were a bat, your world bounds. Your concept of space would be funny different, since your brain processes such things not through sight, but sonar echolocation. Size of a thing is measured in your world by the echo it provides. Time also strokes differently for different creatures, slower for some, faster for others. A dragonfly's world runs at 1/5 the speed of yours. Watching a movie, it would see a slideshow. If you were an electric eel, your world would be principally about electrical impedance. Materials that conduct electricity well would be transparent. Those that are resistant would be opaque. Salt water would be clear. Fresh water would be murky. If you were a tick in place of the warmth of the sun and a cool breeze, your world would be dominated by the radiant warmth of the closest mammal. The aroma that guides your life would be that of the butyric acid of mammal perspiration. And the most significant landmark of your environment would be not a tree or a mountain, but the stroke of a hair upon an animal's hide. Not because you don't care about the sun, the sky, the trees, and the earth. They simply do not exist in your world. All these these worlds, reside within the realm of physical sensation. But let's say you were an angel. Maimonides describes angels as intellects without Bodhi's point. One, the Kabbalists disagree. Angels have bodies, just that their bodies are not of anything we would call physical. Point 2. Matter as we know it is not real for an angel. Only ideas are real. In the world of ideas, time and space have very different sorts of boundaries. Ideas overlap, merge, and move about in entirely different ways. Matter as we know it is not real for an angel. Only ideas are real. Our world, to such ethereal beings, could be quite puzzling, even impossible for them to understand, just as it is impossible for us to imagine what it is like to live in the world of the dog, the bat, the eel, or the tick. But much more so. The angel's unloved is a different category of world altogether. And beyond the angel's sort of world is yet a higher form with yet more ethereal beings, removed from the angel's world as much as the angel is removed from ours. And so the spectrum of worlds extends, higher and yet higher. Yet, all these creatures share a single reality. All their worlds are governed by the same patterns and rules, even the worlds of the angels and beyond, albeit in a more abstract form, as we'll get to later. Each creature affirms in its unique way that a single reality lies beneath everything experienced by all of us. So is that shared reality the real world? It would be, except that a common reality, that all share, but none experience can hardly be called a world. The only one who knows that reality from the inside is its creator. The four worlds, then, actually delineate 4 degrees of perception. A world, it turns out, is very much an artifact of subjective perception. Point 3. Someone with acutely refined senses can experience a higher world, as was the case with the ancient prophets, as well as with many of the great statecum of later times. And when something has become imperceptible in one world, it has left that world, perhaps to appear in another world. The 4 worlds, then, actually delineate 4 degrees of perception. The 4 worlds within you. This would be very difficult for us, were it not that our own psyches also contain multiple strata of realities. At times, we live in our thoughts, at other times in our words, and at times, just within the sensations of the physical world. Try taking a virtual trip through those strata of perception. You fall deep into thought, pondering the answer. The world around you vanishes. For a moment, you don't know how long. You stand still, immersed in a world where events that span many decades in places distant from one another merge into a single frame. You are no longer in the park. You are reliving the emotions and the thoughts you felt at those times. You just slipped into your own personal world of thought. But eventually you need to tear yourself away from there and descend into the world of speech so you can respond to your friend. Which you do quite well. You articulate that vision of yours as best you can, all that you perceived of those feelings and notions. You're never going to be satisfied with your articulation. An entire book of the choicest of words will never be able to represent the richness and intimacy of your world of thought. But you descend there, nevertheless, flattening that world into words and phrases in careful sequence, because if you would speak everything out at once the way it just appeared to you, your friend would be completely lost. You just slipped down into your world of speech. And now the two of you trudge onward along the park's path. You feel the crackling of autumn leaves beneath your feet. You become once again aware of the crisp, cool air as the daylight begins to dim, the shadows lengthen, and colors fade into darkness. Your legs begin to tire. You have returned to your world of sensations and physical activity. Of course, all this time you never really left. Your words were transmitted via pressure waves in the gaseous atmosphere. Even your thoughts were limited to representations within space, time, and matter as you're stuck down in the world of physical sensation, even as you escape refined atmosphere of your mind. But at least you have a model within you. The world of language, and especially the world of thought, are your gateways to comprehend the invisible macrocosmos you inhabit. The four worlds you are within. Solomon wrote that genie placed the entire world within the human heart. For your psyche is a microcosmos of the universe. You and all other creatures reside within the thoughts, words, and actions of a greater mind. 5. Of course, divine thoughts are not human thoughts. They hardly are the same thing at all. You think about things that you have seen or heard. You can imagine a pink flamingo standing on a gray elephant, or a pink elephant standing on a gray flamingo. But with the wildest imagination, you could never imagine a color you've never seen, or a sound you've never heard. With the wildest imagination, you could never imagine a color you've never seen, or a sound you've never heard. Before GD thinks of an animal, there are no animals to think about. He comes up with colors, light and darkness, time and space entirely out of nowhere. Before he begins, there is nothing at all to think about other than his own existence. He thinks not about what is, but about what he desires should be. The same with divine speech. You can tell a great story, but if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. You can develop your characters so artfully that your audience feels like they met these guys, but none of those characters turn around and shake your hand for creating them. GD, on the other hand, says, let there be light. Let there be a world. And a world exists as though it always was. Nevertheless, there are parallels between our thoughts, our words, our actions, and GDs. And those parallels allow us insight into worlds entirely beyond us. At the top of the hierarchy, world of Atzilut. So let's start there. Atzilut, a divine world. Atzilut also has a parallel in the human psyche. Beneath your actions, your words, and your thoughts, there lies you, the person who thinks those thoughts, speaks those words, and performs those actions. What drives all of these? Your mind and heart. So too, the world of Atzilut can be thought of as the divine mind from which all things are conceived. As much as your thoughts turn and buzz, your inner self doesn't change much. Beneath all the swings of mood and tempo, you remain the same you. That provides an inkling of a notion of what Atzilut is all about. Atzilut is beyond change. It can hardly be said to have time and space at all, other than in a very abstract sense. Think of how time and space can be represented by horizontal and vertical coordinates on a graph, or how you can hold them as raw concepts in your mind. There's an order to things, but they're there all at once. Things can be in different spaces, but as a single whole. As much as your thoughts turn and buzz, your inner self doesn't change much. Beneath all the swings of mood and tempo, you remain the same you. That's why Atzilut is also called a world of oneness. Nothing has yet been created. The elements necessary to construct a world are there in latent potential, like a seed under the ground yet to emerge. Everything that ever will be exists there as a single whole. In that way, Atzilut is not truly a world. It is an intermediary stage between infinite, unbounded light and finite, divine creations. It is called, quite paradoxically, the place where infinity ends and the possibility for the finite begins. 6. Perhaps it can be called the proto-world, or you could think of it as the inaccessible reality that underlies all worlds. It is the creator imagining, so to speak, what it is like to be confined within a world. And yet, nothing confines him there whatsoever. Even as he pervades this world and breathes life into it, he remains entirely beyond it all. Uriah, a world of creation. But then comes Uriah, the world of thought. Thoughts are amazing. Not intelligence or raw intellect, but the articulate words and imagery that chatter busily in your mind. They are the landscape of your consciousness. You observe them and know who you are, what you are thinking, and how you feel. Your thoughts are you, but they are not you. They are articulations of what's going on inside you. And that is what is so amazing. Because there are no words inside you. There is emotion. There is intelligence. But words, where did they come from? Conjuring up those thoughts in your mind is by far the most creative thing you do. It's the closest you come to creating something from nothing. And in this way, your inner world of thought provides a window upon the first iteration of creation, the world of Uriah. Imagine yourself as a thought in GD's imagination. You are aware that you are only a fantasy, that you arose out of the void. You perceive your own existence, and cannot help but wonder how such a thing is possible. How could anything at all exist? The world of Uriah is not GD, yet in the perception of its denizen, all that really exists there is GD. That's because Uriah is only the very beginning of existence. It is existence without form. Or think of it this way. Just as your personal world of thought is a very private space, isolated from all others, so too the world of Uriah is a hidden, private world for its creator. Your thoughts are not you, but the only one privy to them is you. The world of Uriah is not GD, yet in the perception of its denizen, all that really exists there is GD. Yetzirah, a world of forms. The world of Yetzirah, in stark contrast, is a world similar to your experience of communication with others. Communicating, unlike thinking, is all about the other. If you have difficulty acknowledging that those listening to you are not you and may think and feel differently than you will have a hard time communicating. Yetzirah means formation. This is the world in which the substance of existence takes form, occupies its own space, and thereby emerges from the subliminal into the revealed. Yetzirah, then, is the first instance of a world that leaves room for its creatures to feel their own space and existence. This is the world in which the substance of existence takes form, occupies its own space, and thereby emerges from the subliminal into the revealed. And yet, in Yetzirah, time and space still do not have the sharp definition with which we physical creatures are familiar. Just as the meanings of words overlap, bend, and change according to context, so the granules of time and space in this world blend and blur together with fluidity. In any one moment of Yetzirah, it is said, its denizens can perceive some 15 years of a time. 7. So, if you were a creature of the world of Yetzirah, you would have a much stronger sense of yes, I exist than you would in Uriah. But on the other hand, you would feel that you are but an expression of something beyond you, just as words express the mind and heart of the person who speaks them. You would be sharply aware of a transcendent being that imbues you with life. And you would be perpetually yearning for more of that life energy. This is the world of the angels, and their Psalms. 8. It is also the world to which most of the prophets ascended to receive their prophecy. With asceticism and disciplined training, they were able to divest themselves of their physical senses and tune into a spiritual reality, world where divine decrees may be heard before they come to materialize here below. To an angel, a thought is as loud and real as a spoken word. The prophets in their ascent to this world reported hearing the tumultuous songs of the angels. Indeed, to one with such fine senses, the thoughts of human beings ring much louder. 9. Asiyah, an actual world. The world of Asiyah is the universe we perceive with our physical senses and devices. It's the world where the creator is most hidden, as though this world is here just because it is here and always was here, not because it says something or means something.
Indeed, most denizens of this world are not at all bothered by the question of how they got here or why. We just are. Asiya means an action such as throwing a rock or kicking some pebbles. Thoughts and words carry meaning, and action is just a thing that happened. If you hear words, you know they came from someone and they carry information. If you see a rock flying through the air, the only information you have is that a rock is flying through the air. Asiya is a world where each thing says, I am here, and where I am, nothing else can be. Asiya is also a world of high definition. The fundamental law of Asiya is where one thing is, another cannot be. For one to begin, another must end. Your hand cannot go through the table without at least one of the two breaking. No two things may share the same space in the same moment of time. Asiya is a world where each thing says, I am here, and where I am, nothing else can be. Yet it is this world that the soul descends to do mitzvahs and learn Torah, because only here, when divine light is most concealed, are we granted enough to our own spectacle, or to our own space, to make our own decisions and employ our own free choice. And only through making those decisions in the darkness, in a place where failure is always a possible outcome, can growth, change, and transform. This is why all the higher worlds, the many realms within Yetzirah, Bara, and even Absolute, so much depend on our thoughts, words, and especially our actions down here in the world of Asiya. In that way, the lowest world is truly the highest. Beyond worlds, beyond that, the Kabbalists will tell you lies infinite light. Ein Sof, baby. Unbounded and identified, no rules, no patterns, nothing that can be known at all. And from where does this light emanate? From God Himself. Where is God? Everywhere. As the Zohar repeats again and again, He fills all worlds, He encompasses all worlds, and there is nothing else but Him. All right, well, that was a cool story. What are the four worlds? No one knows. It's just like a thing. It's whatever. Why? It's just it's like super, super wild shit. So there's action, formation, creation, emanation. That's cool, but like, what does that have to do with aliens? No one knows. I gotta take a whiz though. I don't know why I have to go to the bathroom. I think I know why. Hey kid, how are them? How's that butt, Boba? Shrinking every day, girl. All right, allegedly. Maybe I'm just being funny. All right.
Abraham ben Isaac of Granada, also known as Abraham Merriman, was a Kabbalist of the 13th century. Works. Abraham wrote. Jewish Encyclopedia Bibliography.
Wow. All right. So he wrote Sefer HaBarit, a work on the Kabbalah. Moses Bodarel quotes this work in introduction to his commentary on the Sefer Yetzirah. Great Menuna, Covenant of the Rest, another work on the Kabbalah, valued highly by Isaac Luria for its profound comments, its language, as well as how Shimon ben Yochai is introduced as speaker, showing a striking resemblance to the Zohar, and it may be that the author had a larger version of the Zohar before him than is now extant. Unlike the Zohar, however, Berit Manuha is primarily focused on the practical Kabbalah and the powers of divine names and angels. Megale Ta'alamo, quoted by the author in the work previously mentioned. All right, well, that's cool. Who are these guys? 13th century Kabbalistic commentary.
Joseph ben Abraham Chiquitilla, Hebrew, Spanish, Chiquitilla, the very little one, born 1248 in Medinazali, died after 1305 in Payafiel, was a Castilian Kabbalist. Chiquitilla, who was first greatly influenced by Abraham Abulefia's ecstatic, prophetic system of Kabbalism, soon showed a greater affinity for philosophy. Chiquitilla made an original attempt to provide a detailed yet lucid and systematic exposition of Kabbalism. He was also the originator of the doctrine equating the infinite, Ein Sof, with the first of the 10 Sephirot. The conception was rejected by the majority of Kabbalists from the 16th century onward, but his works continued to be highly esteemed and were published in many editions. His writings reflect the numerous intellectual currents that converged in Castile in the last third of the 13th century and formed a unique milieu for Jewish mysticism in the late Middle Ages. His works, especially his major work, Shari Ora, Gates of Light, before 1293, had a profound influence on the later development of both Jewish and Christian mysticism. In different manuscripts of the work, the authors named Grigzel, Cardinal, and Necadal, all corruptions of Chikatilla. Biography. Chikatilo was born in Medinazili, Kingdom of Castile, in 1248, but worked primarily in Segovia, between approximately 1272 and 1274. He studied under Abraham Abulafia, the founder of the ecstatic Kabbalah, who considered him his most successful student. Chikatilo was born in Medinazili, Kingdom of Castile, in 1248, but worked primarily in Segovia, between approximately 1272 and 1274. He studied under Abraham Abulafia, the founder of the ecstatic Kabbalah, who considered him his most successful student. His Kabbalistic knowledge became so profound that he was supposed to be able to work miracles, and on this account was called Joseph Baal HaNassim the Thometer, or literally Master of Miracles. Zacuto, Uasin, page 224. Like his master, Chikatilo occupied himself with mystic combinations and transpositions of letters and numbers. Indeed, Abulafia considered him as the continuator of his school. Adolf Jelinek, PH3, PXL. But Chikatilo was not an adversary of philosophy. On the contrary, he tried to reconcile philosophy with Kabbalah, declaring that the latter is the foundation of the former. He, however, strove after the higher science, that is, mysticism. His works in general represent a progressive development of philosophical insight into mysticism. His first work shows that he had considerable knowledge of secular sciences, and that he was familiar with the works of Ibn Gabirol, Abraham ibn Ezra, Maimonides, and others. G propagated the idea of the inverted metaphor, which did not describe God with human attributes, but named human limbs according to their divine correspondence, and is also often found in narrative philosophy of the Middle Ages. He died in the Upper Tuero in Payapfil after 1305. Works. Chinabegaz. Chikatilo was a prolific writer. He wrote his first work, Chinabegaz, when only 26. It is a Kabbalistic treatise in 3 parts. Hana, 1615. Chikatilo at times criticizes the Sefer Yair and the Peri Hekalim, the 7 heavens, Act 12 are identified by him with the classical planets. He holds Maimonides in great esteem even when he opposes him, and quotes him very often. Other authorities quoted by him are Ibn Gabirol, Samuel ibn Nagrula, and Abraham ibn Ezra. Isaac ben Samuel of Acre in his Meritanaim severely criticizes Chikatilo for too free usage of the Tetragrammaton. Sharora. Sharora, or Haora, is Chikatilo's most influential work. Isaac Luria, 1534-1572, called it a key to understanding the mystical studies, and from Vilna Gaon, 1720-1797, to Zontal Salin, 1786-1866, recommended that their students study it. Among those who quoted it were Moses ben Jacob Cortavero, Joseph Carl, Hayim ben Joseph Weigel, Isaiah Horowitz, Yehuda Aryani Bulger, Shem Tov ibn Shem Tov, Moses Al Ashker, and Judah Hayim. Long extracts from it are inserted by Reuben ben Hoshtin and Yam Ryubini. It was translated into Latin by Paolo Reggio and used by Johann Reuchlin as a defense against his adversaries. Contents and style. Sharora, Mantua, 1561, deals with the names of God. Chikatilo takes an attitude somewhat hostile to philosophy. He quotes only the Sefer Yetzirah and the Peri Hekalim. Other works. Jewish Encyclopedia Bibliography.
Yeah, I'm gonna back kids. And we've got to, we'll go back through that motherfucker.
So what's the status? Rav Amar Kshira, so Rav says it's kosher. Rav Chisda or Psula, and Rav Chisda says that it's possible. That it's possible. So what I want to point out is something very interesting. Kshira, in this case over here, means not only is the carbon kosher, but what? It counts to satisfy the obligation of the particular owner. That's what Kshira means in this case. So Rav says totally good. Rav Chisda says it's possible. Rav Amar Kshira, Rav says that it's good. Why? Rav says, listen, at the end of the day, what happens over here? The Torah was accepted for the sake of Torah. In other words, mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Ruben needed the Torah. Shimon needed the Torah. So ultimately, against 2 todos yet slaughtered. So we're good to go. We're good to go. Granted, there was a little bit of a mix-up in terms of who's Torah's who, but practically, it shouldn't really matter. There's no psula. So Krista says no, because at the end of the day, the Krista calls this Shinui Kodesh. He calls this at the end of the day, in order to discharge your obligation as a carbon, the covenant is offered for the sake of the particular owner. It's a fundamental focus. How do I know? There was a section point down, just in this case, and a typical Shinui Bible. Right? And a typical Shinui Bible is Ruben bringing the Torah, and the coin has a line for Shimon. Now, Shimon has no shaykhs to a Torah. Shimon's just like, that's not the typical case of Shinui Bible. So, in this case over here, is Ruben and Shimon are both trying to bring a cosmos Torah. So, whereas, again, the covenant should have been shafted for Ruben, it was shafted for Shimon. Rabbi says, listen, at the end of the day, if you shafted for the sake of Torah, both of these individuals are no harm, no foul. We're good. Rabbi means Rabbi Kislev says, no, that's not true. In order for a carbon to ultimately discharge the obligation of the owner, it has to be explicitly slaughtered for that owner. So, for Rabbi, obviously, how am I going to this covenant structure? Besides, the Pasha Zara over Shama, you don't have to go as it told. So ultimately, again, Rabbi brings this Pasha, right? And then you can just What you're going to see over here is that Halacha Lamaisa, so the Kashkara calls the Kabbalah Shlomish. Abakan Amr Shabbalazar, Baba, what is this? Just Toza Shishak or Shin Shlomim Shiva. It teaches us an important halacha, namely that if a Torah is shafted for the sake of a Shlomim, ultimately again it's kosher. On the other hand, the Shlomim Shishkat Havishim Toda Psulim, but if Shlomim ultimately is shafted for the sake of a Toda, it's possible. Now, why is that? Well, not average things that was that. So why is it here? That's why you look at the Toda is shafted for the sake of a Shlomim, it's good. But ultimately, again, Shlomim is shafted for the sake of a Toda, it's possible. Very simple. The Gemara says, Toda Kli Shlomim. Because in the pasuk it says the Torah calls it Toda Shlomim. The Shlomim Kli Toda. But ultimately, again, a Shlomim is not called a Toda. So we'll say, but it's actually very logical. And then essentially, Toda is a category of Shlomim. So therefore, if you go ahead and you shut the carbon Toda for the sake of Shlomim, the carbon is good. But go ahead and shut a Shlomim for the sake of Toda is not good. Because the Shlomim is Toda. Shlomim is Toda. Psula, hot Toda, pushing Toda. Chips, we always have what can you refer to, right? You can do it like this. What's the specification? If you shut the Toda, if you shut the Shlomim, there's no creative Toda. Shlomim is Toda Psula. So what is even there? It's when you shut the Shlomim for the sake of Toda, that it is possible. But what can you infer? Toda is shame, Toda is shame. But if you shut the Toda for the sake of Toda, it's possible.
All right. So what was this guy doing? Works. Gekatia was a prolific writer. He wrote his first work, Ginaz Egos, when only 26. It is a Kabbalistic treatise in 3 parts. Hanau, 1615. The title taken from the Song of Solomon, which means garden of nuts. Kabbalistically, Ginaz, garden consists of the initials of Gematria, Nut, Arikon, and Tamar, the 3 main elements of Kabbalah, while Egos and Nut is the emblem of mysticism. The first part in 5 chapters treats the various names of God according to the Hebrew Bible. According to Gekativa, the Tetragrammaton is the only name which represents the substance of God. The other names are merely predicates of it. The Tetragrammaton stands for God as He is, while the E name denotes God as the creative power. The name, the TZ armies, he says, applies to all beings of the 3 natures. Zivat applies to all the beings of the 3 natures, earthly, heavenly, or spheres, and spirits or forms. The interpretation of the Zvat as armies of letters leads him over to the second part. The second part treats the letters of the alphabet. He declares that the number 10 emanated from the Tetragrammaton, the primitive cause, and the source of all being. He attempts to prove the statement by different combinations based on religion, philosophy, physics, and mysticism. He shows that the Talmudic view that space is filled with spirits agrees with the belief of the philosophers that there is no vacuum. He also treats here of the revolutions of the sun and moon, giving the relative sizes of the planets. The third part is a treatise in 4 chapters on the vowels. The 3 primitive vowels, Holem, Shuruk, and Huruk, represent the upper, middle, and lower worlds. The 3 compound ones, Seri, Sego, and Shua, represent the composition of the construction of the worlds. The Pata and Kamas represent their movements. Shari Ora, content and style. Shari Ora deals with the names of God according to the commentary of Mattathiah Ben Solomon Delacruz. It discusses 300 names organized into 10 chapters, 1 for each sphere. Each sphere has 1 primary name, but may have many others. Some names are associated with more than 1 sphere. The purpose of the book is so that you can understand the experience of the fountain of the living waters. The fountain of living waters, Jeremiah 2:13. that flows from all his names, and when you attain this, then you will prosper and have good success.
What happens if you go ahead and finish your both kind of Kabbalah and you end up shifting moving still for Shimon or
So there's Keter, Crown. I don't know. I don't want to say the whole name. So Chachma, Bina, Chesed, Gevura. So Keter, Crown, Chachma, Wisdom, Bina, Understanding, Chesed, Kindness, Gevura, Severity, Tiferet, Beauty, Nitzach, Sempiternity, Victory, Had, Splendor, Yesod, Foundation, Makuth, Kingship. Other work, Sha'are Sedek or Sha'are Ha Shemayim, another treatise by Gekatila on the 10th Sphirot, Riva di Trento, 1561, Sefer HaNikud, a mystical explanation of the Nikudim, included with the Arse Lebanon, Venice, 1601, Sad HaAshmal, a Kabbalistic commentary on the vision of Ezekiel, also printed with the Arse Lebanon, Safna, Anea, commentary on the Haggadah, around 1600, Sadat HaMiswat, a Kabbalistic explanation of the 613 commandments, Ikret, Kabbalistic essays for 1556, Shubo, Responsa, Sha'at, Meshalam, Meshalim, a Kabbalistic essay in 138 paragraphs, Osar, HaKavod, according to Jelinek, the same as Sadat HaMizwot, a commentary on Song of Songs, Asagot, unpublished, consists of structures of the guide for the perplexed. Gikatila used Al Arizi's translation, in which he corrects many mistakes and sometimes differs from Maimonides. It seems that he wrote the Asagot at the beginning of his literary career, when he was more of a philosopher and less a mystic. Sadhan Nahash, Kabbalistic revelations of the divine serpent. Jelinek thinks that Gikatila composed a Kabbalistic treatise entitled Hecalot of the same character as Perke Hecalot. Alright, that's cool. Menachem Rekanti, Menachem Rekanati, only Italian of the time, writing mainly Kabbalah 1250 to 1310.
Menachem ben Benjamin Recanati, Hebrew, 1223-1290, was an Italian rabbi who was born and died in the city of Recanati, who devoted the chief part of his writings to the Kabbalah. Works. In addition to the halakhic rulings collected in Piskei Recanati, his only halakhic work, Recanati wrote a Kabbalistic commentary on the Torah, a commentary on the Siddur, and discussions of the commandments. Piskei Recanati was first published in Bologna, 1538, and was published several times thereafter. References. This biography.
So there's Purush al HaTorah, Venice 1523, a work of full mystical deductions and meanings based on the textual interpretation of the Bible. It describes many visions and celestial revelations claimed to have been experienced by the author, who was influenced by Kabbalistic ideas, and expresses the highest respect for all Kabbalistic authors, even the most recent apocryphal ones. The work was republished with a commentary by Mordecai Jaffe at Lublin in 1595, and was also translated into Latin by Pico di Mirandola. Perush ha Tifilot and Ta'amne ha Mitzvot, published together, Constantinople 1543 to 1544, Basel 1581. Like the preceding work, these are strongly tinctured with German mysticism. Recanati frequently quotes Judah he Hasid of Regensburg, Eliezer of Worms, and their disciples, and alludes also to the Spanish Kabbalists, Maimonides among them. He is rarely original, quoting almost always other authorities. Although Recanati has a high reputation for sanctity, he exercised less influence on his contemporaries than upon posterity. To assist him in his Kabbalistic researches, he studied logic and philosophy, and he endeavors to support the Kabbalah by philosophical engagement. Hilcoat Bologna, 1538. Alright, now what? Let's go to this book in Kabbalah. video thing. Dude, what the fuck? Alright, what are we gonna watch? We could watch anything. The Rebbe shit's too long. I don't want anything too long. Do it yourself to fill in. That's cool.
Hi, welcome to Jewish.tv DIY. Today we're going to learn how to put on tefillin.
Oh, I thought he was making his own tefillin. I'd be like, whoa, like cookie cutters and shit?
Tefillin is a mitzvah for all Jewish men and boys from ages 13 and up. It's a mitzvah to put on tefillin every single day, except for Shabbat and biblical holidays. Before we get started, we should just mention how crucial it is to make sure that your tefillin are kosher. Tefillin boxes are made of animal hide, and so are the parchments contained inside of them. The parchments have certain Torah verses written on them. Like mezuzah and Torah scrolls, they are made by expert scribes according to many intricate laws. They need to be bought from a reliable source, and even then, the boxes, the parchments inside, and the straps should all be checked periodically by a scribe for wear and tear. You may see different people putting on tefillin in different ways. For the sake of simplicity, we're just going to show one way. Before we put the tefillin on, let's just take a closer look at them. Okay, so you have two black leather boxes with straps in your tefillin bag. One is for the arm, and the other is for the head. Once you open the cases, an obvious difference is that the arm tefillin has only one strap, while the head tefillin has two straps. You can also tell the arm and the head tefillin apart because the arm tefillin straps have this slidable knot that opens and closes a loop, while the knot in the head tefillin straps stays tied in place. Another difference is that the arm tefillin has a smooth box, while the head tefillin's box is marked with 3 vertical lines because there are 4 different compartments inside the leather box itself, each containing different parchments. Yet another difference is that the head tefillin has a Hebrew letter shin on both sides. The side of the hand tefillin is smooth and usually has a special protective cover. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is open the bag containing the tefillin. Then we remove the arm tefillin first, and we remove the plastic casing from the tefillin. The tefillin goes on the weaker arm, so right-handed people will put it on their left arm, and left-handed people will put it on their right arm. Roll up your sleeve so that the tefillin is in direct contact with your arm. Put your arm through the loop. Place the black box up on your bicep, just below the halfway point between your shoulder and elbow, right across from your heart. From the time that we make the blessing until both tefillin are in place, no interruptions are to be made. So we're going to make the blessing together, and then we're going to walk through the procedure explaining each step. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehaniach tefillin. Okay, so we're going to pull the strap through to tighten the slidable knot closed. You want to make sure that the knot is directly touching the box. Wrap the strap up and over the strap socket and over your bicep 2 times. This creates a total of 3 straps, representing the letter shin on the top of your arm. Continue to wrap 7 more times around your forearm. Then do a half circuit diagonally across your hand and once around your palm. So now we're going to put on the head tefillin before coming back and finishing up the arm tefillin. Take out the head tefillin from its plastic case. The box goes on your head so that the front edge of the box rests just above the hairline. If your hairline is receded, you line it up with where your hairline used to be. Centered in the middle of your head, lined up right between your eyes. Pull the straps down around the side of your head, over your shoulders, so that the straps are hanging down in front of you like this. The knot in the back, shaped like the letter Dalet, should rest on the ridge at the base of your skull. It shouldn't hang down onto your neck. Okay, now we're going to go back to the arm film. The strap is wrapped up and over the base of the middle finger, then just above the first joint, and then back a second time around the base of the finger. Most likely you'll have some extra length of strap, so you just wrap it around your palm and tuck in the tail end so that it doesn't come undone. While you have your tool on, you should be mindful of them. Avoid any unnecessary conversation and stay out of any unclean places. When taking off this film, we do it in the exact reverse order. That is, we're first going to take off the straps around the hands, then we remove the head's film, and finally the rest of the arm film. And that's a wrap. Now that you know, it's time to do it yourself.
Yeah, there are like 1,000 different ways to do it, but that was good. All right, now let's have debates.
Okay, got it. I will say the reality is that there are some things in life, and this is a hard pill to swallow. But the truth is, there are some things in life you can't correct. There are some things in life that the new chef that covered Shalom and Shalom, you can't fix it. You cannot fix it. No matter how much you got it, no matter how much you yearn to go back and fix it, you can't fix it. Once the Shalom was done, Shalom and Shalom, that is an irreversible mistake. Just because I made irreversible mistakes does not mean that I can't do
Yo,
that
dog.
going forward.
To my knowledge, it's not possible to do 613 mitzvot because you have to be both genders to be able to do this. Please give me the main areas where you would hiccup and how many the average person could be able to do if they're a man or if they're, and also give me a strongman argument or stillman argument how someone, if they somehow were able to change genders, could do them all. Yo, dog, you're basically right. No single human can do all 613 mitzvot, and gender is one of the big reasons, but not the only one. Here's a clean breakdown without the quote. Why nobody can do 613 gender-specific mitzvot. Here are the biggest hiccups. Mitzvot that apply only to men. Time-bound positive commandments, for instance, to fill in seats, certain prayers. Priestly mitzvot, if you're a Cohen, temple service blessings. Kingship, war-related mitzvot. Writing a Sefer Torah. Mitzvot that apply only to women. Laws of Nida, family purity, lighting Shabbat, and Yom Tov candles, classically framed as her domain. Certain childbirth-related mitzvot. So yes, you do need to be both male and female just to qualify them. Status-based mitzvot. Even if you could gender swap, you'd still be stuck. Cohen versus Levi versus Israel. You can't be all three. King of Israel. Only one guy at a time. Sanhedrin judge. Nazir. Someone who owns land in Israel. Someone who sins accidentally. Yes, there are mitzvot that apply only after failure. Temple dependent mitzvot. Roughly 200 to 250 mitzvot require a standing temple, ritual purity, active sacrifices. Right now they're locked. So how many mitzvot can someone actually do? Rough mainstream numbers, very approximate. Average Jewish man today, 270 to 290 mitzvot potentially applicable. Of those, maybe 60 to 80 are regularly doable in daily life. Average Jewish woman today, 230 to 250 mitzvot potentially applicable. Of those, maybe 60 to 80 are regularly doable as well. Different mix, similar count. Important point: exempt does not equal less holy. The system is role-based, not skill-based. The strong traditional Steelman argument: someone could do all 613. How that works conceptually. Here's a classic answer, especially in Kabbalah and 613 is for Klal Yisrael, not the individual. The mitzvot are distributed across the collective body of Israel. Just like the organs in a body, no single organ does everything. Perfection exists at the national level, not the individual level. Gilgal reincarnation theory: a soul may return multiple times. Each lifetime fulfills different mitzvot. Across incarnations, a soul can theoretically complete all 613. Arizal Zohar crowd. Gender switching argument. Yes, this exists. A soul could be reincarnated as a male in one life and a female in another. So across lifetimes, the same soul fulfills both sets. This is explicitly discussed in Kabbalistic sources. Intent counts where action is impossible. If a mitzvah is truly impossible, temple status, etc., wanting to do it and accepting it as binding still has spiritual weight. Bottom line, Rabbi Mike drop. No one is meant to do all 613 in one lifetime. Mitzvot are a distributed system. Gender difference is a feature, not a bug. Wholeness is achieved through community, time, soul, cycles, intent. If you want if you want next level, we can list exactly which mitzvot are gender locked, or break it down via Rambam or Sefer Chachinik, or full mystical how mitzvot map onto soul organs. Just say the word.
So are you saying like literally that the orange that the air becomes the owner? So to the point that the point had a doctor she made by had a mind for someone else, there himself would be obligated to bring a new carbon. Is that literally what you're saying? Like all I can see, okay, well, the Ika Kami Asay Gagai Mechapra, right? Or maybe no. Right? Maybe it's not literal, but rather what you mean. Maybe what you mean is as follows. That halacha l'maisa, means like this. That the air is considered to be the owner in that halacha l'maisa, if the air himself has certain averos, specifically positive commandments that he transgressed, ultimately again this owner that is being brought could atone for it. In other words, but not that he's the literal owner. It's just that he has the ability, so to speak, to be a quasi-owner in that this carbon can atone for him. So which one do you mean? So as I read the shadows of Ravashi says, Ravashi literally says that the air becomes the owner. So ultimately, again, sorry, Pinchas asks. Ravashi says, do you mean that like figuratively?
How does reincarnation in Judaism work? Because it's not really in Torah. Where does it come about? What is mainstream thought, etc.? What about Rambam? What about Rambo? Yoda, great question. This is one of the Judaism has layers topics that people get tripped up because they expect everything to be explicit in the Torah. Reincarnation, Gogol is a perfect example. First, you're right. Reincarnation is not explicit in the Torah. You will not find a verse that straight up says souls come back in new bodies. So where does it come from? Where reincarnation comes from in Judaism. Early hints. Tanakh plus Midrash. There are breadcrumbs, not full doctrine. A generation goes and a generation comes. Kohelet. The soul being remembered or returned. Midrashim, where biblical figures seem to reappear spiritually. Nothing is airtight, more like mystical, hidden things. Zohar, 13th century game changer. This is real game changer. This is where reincarnation becomes real Jewish discourse. The Zohar explicitly talks about Gilgal, Neshama, unfinished spiritual work, frames reincarnation not punishment. From here on, it's in the Arizal 16th century systematizes everything. Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Ari, basically turns reincarnation into a full operating system. According to Arizal, almost every soul reincarnates. Souls come back to complete mitzvot, fix character flaws, repair cosmic damage. Souls can switch genders, enter partially. Soul sharing temporarily, possess someone. Iber. This becomes normative Kabbalah. So, what's mainstream Judaism on reincarnation? Here's the key nuance. Orthodox traditional mainstream reincarnation is widely accepted, especially in Chassidut, Sephardi traditions, Kabbalah influenced communities, but it's not a required belief. You can fully be Orthodox and say, I don't really focus on that stuff. Totally fine. Rambam, since you said Rambo, ha, it actually gives my jokes. Okay, Rambam does not mention reincarnation at all. Important points. Rambam emphasizes one life, Olam Haba, as intellectual, spiritual afterlife. He avoids mysticism almost completely. Silence does not equal rejection, but most scholars read Rambam as not believing in Gilgal. So Rambam Judaism does not no reincarnation centered. Arizal Judaism is reincarnation everywhere. Both are legit within Orthodoxy. Is reincarnation dogma? No. Judaism's required beliefs. God exists, Torah is divine, rewarding consequence, some form of afterlife. How souls get there, that's flexible. How Jews usually think about it practically. Most people don't walk around obsessing over past lives. The vibe is live this life right, do the mitzvot in front of you. Whatever cosmic bookkeeping exists is God's problem. Reincarnation is more like if justice or soul growth needs more time, God has mechanisms. One line summary. Torah is silent. Zohar introduces it. Arizal systematizes it. Rambam ignores it. Mainstream Judaism allows it. It doesn't require it. Yo, dog, what happens when we die in Judaism? Oh, what? I don't want to give feedback, but whatever. Okay, what happened? Death equals separation, not annihilation. Your body returns to dust. The neshama soul continues. Judaism never treats death as the end of existence, just the end of embodiment. Immediate stage accounting clarity called din v'chospon, judgment and accounting. Olam ha neshamos, world of souls. There is no not courtroom drama. It's truth exposure. You experience your life as it actually was. No deception, no ego filters. Think radical moral clarity, not punishment theater. Purification stage. Yes, Judaism has Gehinnom, but not the other kind of what it is. Spiritual cleansing, ego burning off, and identity refinement, moral detox. What it's not, eternal damnation, fire torture, other stuff. Max is 12 months. Most souls way less. It's rehab, not prison. Olam Haba, world to come. This is the destination state described as closest to God, soul awareness. True consciousness, spiritual pleasure, not physical reward. Rambam's version, pure intellect plus divine closeness. Kabbalah's version, soul resonance with divine light. Different metaphors, same idea. Conscious existence and truth. Resurrection of the dead. Tachiyat Hametim. This is a future world theology, not immediate afterlife belief. At some point in Messianic times, souls return to bodies, physical, spiritual reality reunites. That's core Jewish belief, 13 principle of faith. Very non Greek, very embodied theology. Judaism doesn't believe salvation equals escape of the body, it believes in redeeming the body. Mainstream map, simple version. Death, soul clarity, soul cleansing, if needed, Olam Haba. Resurrection, future, Rambam versus mystics, Rambam, no reincarnation, emphasis, Olam Haba, intellectual closeness to God, resurrection, future miracle, not daily focus, Kabbalah, reincarnation possible, soul repair cycles, multi-layered afterlife realms, soul fragments, levels, reincarnation paths. Judaism's vibe about death, not fear-based, not hell-based, not reward-based. Judaism is life-centered, not afterlife-centered. We focus on repairing the world in this life, justice, not ethics. Not the afterlife is important, but not obsession. One-line rabbi summary: you don't go somewhere forever. You somewhere bad forever. You don't get erased. You don't float on clouds. You go through truth, repair, closest in return. What about Sheol?
That's the way accomplishments happen. If you're here, if you're there, you're multitasking this, that.
Yo, dog, Sheol is an OG afterlife term, and it's way earlier and way flatter, and everything we just talked about. What is Sheol? Sheol is the grave underworld in the Tanakh Hebrew Bible. Key features: everyone goes there: righteous, wicked, kings, peasants. No reward, no punishment, no fire, angels, no judgment. Just existence in shadowy consciousness, the land that where Sheol shows up all over early biblical books. Tehillim, Psalms, Job, Job, Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, classified. The dead do not praise God. In Sheol, who can thank you? I descend to Sheol. That's not hell. That's not heaven. That's a neutral dead space. Why Sheol feels so different from later Judaism? Because Jewish afterlife evolves. Early Israelite view focused on this life. God rewards nations and families here. After is equal to vague, not central. Sheol reflects the stage. What replaces Sheol later? Over time, Sheol splits conceptually. Gehinnom, moral reckoning, purification, temporary. Gan Eden, Olam, Haba, reward, closeness to God, spiritual pleasure. So instead of everyone going to Sheol, it becomes soul, judgment, purification, overworld. Sheol basically gets absorbed into later metaphysics. Does Sheol still exist in Judaism? Depends on who you ask. Rambam type read Sheol is a poetic way to say death grave, not a literal, medical, physical place. Biblical language, not doctrine. Academic spot read Sheol is an ancient Near Eastern underworld concept similar to Mesopotamian beliefs. Judaism later moves past it. Mystical read Sheol is the lowest spiritual state, a kind of unconsciousness, soul level before refinement, sometimes associated with early Gehinnom stages. The Sheol, hell, no, hard no. No eternal punishment, no Satan, torture, deployment, no moral sorting. One line evolutionary summary. Torah, early Tanakh, Sheol is everyone goes, nothing happens. Second Temple era moral afterlife ideas start emerging. Rabbinic Judaism, Gehinnom plus Olam Haba, Kabbalah, full soul journey flowchart. Tie in your bigger question 613 mitzvah reincarnation etc. Shul reflects a Judaism where covenant mattered more than individual afterlife, collective destiny, personal heaven, obedience now, metaphysical payoff later. As Jewish theology deepened, afterlife ideas got more precise, but Shul never fully disappears. It just becomes background language. Mike drop on Shul is Judaism before Judaism finished thinking about death. All right, that's cool. Anything else? No, that's good for now. You're fired. Go fuck yourself.